really, at the end of the day, it's just the matter of a macro market. It's just what happens.
That's why it's really important to have a plan. Have a plan and understand what your goals are.
In fact, my camel out there is suffering right now with a broken back.
So I actually found Pepe when it was only a couple of hours old, and I'm like, oh, this is a funny meme.
Oh my god.
Yo! Who is this degen?
The old man is swing trading over years at a time. And it's like, that's where the real money is made.
The answer is a permanent loss. With single-sided staking, you don't have to worry about impermanent loss.
If you're aware, if you're disciplined, you can hone that into further financial growth.
Financial freedom, so we can actually live life and not have to be constantly living paycheck to paycheck. I mean, that's the ultimate goal, more or less, right?
Well, aloha, degens. Welcome to this 11th book club round for the Degen Roundtable, where we're going to discuss the introduction to SciVive. Joined with me today, I have Mr. Agent J, I have Nate McGettit, I have Mrs. McGettit, our fantastic producer, and then I just got a message from my brother that he is setting his stuff up right now, so he will be joining us as well shortly. Before we dive into the outline of this book, let's do a quick little introduction for the folks at home who don't know who we are. What's going on, Mr. Agent J? The folks probably know who you are, but can you give us a brief explanation of who you are, what you do, and what's going on?
Hey, what's up? For those of you that don't know the panel, I am the DRT's great value technical analyst. So if you like looking at charts, if you like looking at patterns, I'm the guy that these wonderful guys and gals go to for some advice. So that's what I do here at DRT. And sometimes we read books and we talk about them. That's what we do here on today's book club. Sam, looks like Mr. Sam Stevenson just popped in. How you doing, my friend? Looking sharp.
Audio test. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you just fine.
Awesome. I am doing just fine. I am here at the one and only Pulse Chain Conference in Las Vegas. And man, we're having a good time here. We've got Miguel and Charlie showing up. We got BitBoy. We got Rolo Tomasi. We got, you know, the whole crew. So get your FOMO and freaking come to the next one, guys, because you're missing out and we're having fun. And I want you at the next one. So that's what you should do.
Hey, Sam, did Zenith manage to wrangle Mr. Michael Sartain or no?
I haven't seen him yet. Mr. Michael is a very busy man, and he has a lot of good things going on, especially late in the evening. So we'll see if we see him later. Don't know, but we're definitely going to be doing more nighttime networking. That's going to be a thing that happens.
That's a good word. An excellent word. Well, welcome, Sam. Good to have you. Mr. Nate, what's going on, bro? Who are you? For the folks at home who don't know who you are, and what's new and good and exciting?
Well, my name is Nate McGettit. I am the Ascending Man with my own channel of just talking about interesting things. However, on the Degen Roundtable, I tend to be kind of like a theories type of guy, as well as I make money printers and help people sort of balance their portfolios, as well as I get people with FOMO and all that, but I'm able to kind of like be a little bit of a guiding light in the darkness and be like, hey, don't be spending all your not quite pumped yet coins for coins that have already pumped you. So yeah, that's what I do here. Just a little bit of everything. How about Mrs.
Excellent.
Producer?
Mrs. Producer.
Hello. I'm here. What's up?
Okay, for the folks at home who do not know who Mrs. McGettit is our fantastic producer extraordinaire. She uploads all the videos. She takes care of all the camera stuff. She does the chats. She does a ton of stuff in the background. We would not be anywhere near close to where we are without our fantastic producer, Mrs. McGettit. So thank you very much for being here and doing what you do. And not only are you our fantastic producer, but you're also a valuable, insightful member on the book club. And I remember you being very, very excited when we first came out with book club, because you were like, yes, I love books and book clubs and stuff. So thank you for all that you do. For the folks at home, this is Mrs. Producer, Mrs. McGettit. She's a fantastic producer. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, clearly I need to have Will introduce me from now on moving forward. Well, that was pretty awesome. Thank you, Will.
We gotta all join Toastmasters at some point, so that way we can work on like when we're in front of a whole bunch of people and we've got drinks and we're all gonna raise toasts and things. But anyways, I'm more than happy to introduce anybody at any point in time, and I will pump you guys up for any crowd. But
Dude,
enough of that. Introductions. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was
Jay.
gonna say, because you mentioned Toastmasters, a very good friend of mine who is actually in New York. He's in New York City right now, pursuing an acting career. He did a lot of Toastmasters when he was here in Arizona, and it really helped with his like stage fright and public speaking. So highly recommended Toastmasters.
Yep. Any sort of public speaking is good experience for folks to have. It helps you better like learn how inflection works, learn how pitch works, pace, all sorts of things. Talking in front of groups of people, I highly recommend it to anybody who has any sort of trepidation or any sort of discomfort speaking in front of lots of people. Because if you do things that most people don't like to do, then you're going to be better than most people. So that's my my super duper quick pitch for Toastmasters. So not
Well
only are you
said.
guys DGen Roundtable Book Club advice, but also, hey, go learn how to speak to people. On the subject of books, we're going to be covering the introduction to SciVive. And the introduction, one of my favorite things about the intro is it's fucking 30 minutes long, but it's so like chock-a-block full of good little goodies that Nate, we were talking in the background back in the green room during show prep. It just like this book's just full of like obvious advice and nothing really special. But the idea of the book, and this is my personal favorite part of it, is that he talks about if you guys read a book with no sort of like purpose and you don't change any of your, and this goes for anybody, whether like you're an audience member or you're one of us on the panel or just anyone in life reading any sort of book. If you read a book without any sort of purpose or any sort of change that happens as a result of reading the book, then you've essentially just like given yourself entertainment, right? So the idea of SciVive is it talks about a whole bunch of ways in which you could maximize your living. It talks about using your time wisely, engaging in high leverage activities, things of all that sort of nature. So it like SciVive is, there's nothing really like crazy profound in SciVive. It just reminds you of all the like the super simple little uh, useful things that you can do to basically stack the odds in your favor. So with that being said, I'm going to read through a quick little summary. I asked ChatGPT to write me a series of summaries, and I'm going to pick the shortest one to read through you guys. So that way, for those of you who have not read the book at home, you can get kind of a general idea of what goes on in the introduction to SciVive. So SciVive by Richard Hart is essentially a manifesto that focuses on self-improvement, wealth generation, and the pursuit of a better life through scientific and technological means. In the introduction, Hart sets the stage for his philosophy by emphasizing the importance of maximizing human potential and leveraging advancements in science and technology to advance the quality of life. He argues that individuals have the power to significantly improve their lives and the world around them through informed decisions, personal development, and the ethical use of technology. Hart then motivates readers to prioritize their health, wealth, and happiness by applying the principles and strategies he outlines, aiming to inspire a movement towards a more prosperous and fulfilling life for all. So that's basically what the introduction is to SciVive. Is it's just like it's the glimpse into what's going to be held up in the later chapters, and he splits it into three sections. He's got mind. He's got oh shoot, dang it, I can't remember. But he splits it up into 9 chapters. 3 of them are focused on one subject. 3 of them are focused on another subject, and 3 of them are focused on the third subject. And it's basically like the first one is like who you are. The second one is like your ability to leverage the things that are around you, and the third one is like who you're going to become in the future. So those are the main salient points of SciVive, and within each one of those 3 main points, he splits it up into further little categories: mind, body, and soul. Thank you, Centurion. Excellent. We appreciate that.
It was
Centurion,
specifically spirit. It was mind, body, spirit, and then yeah, he goes into what was it? Respect, money, power, and then time. I can't remember.
yes.
From there.
Yeah, so the like Richard Hart likes the rules of 3, and it's super super simple. This is one of the parts that he talks about in the book is the rules of 3. How our minds, like if you try and envision 5 bowling pins in your mind, like if you try and picture 5 bowling pins, it's hard for you to see physical numbers greater than 3, right? It's really easy to focus on 3 things, like left, right, middle, etc., or top, middle, bottom, etc., etc. But like visualizing large numbers of things is very difficult for a person to do. So what he does is he chunks the 3 different categories, and within each of those categories, he then further chunks it into another another 3. So yeah, so that is the general overview of SciVive. And yeah, before I start pouring into the questions and stuff, I want to give you guys a moment to kind of talk about whatever your favorite part is of the book, of the intro to this to the SciVive book, or if you don't want to talk about your favorite part, like something that stuck out to you or something that you think can help other people a lot. Ready, set, go. Floor's open to whoever grabs it first.
So I just wanted to make a quick comment on something that Will and Nate said earlier about how the book doesn't really reveal anything super crazy, right? For a lot of us, when you read through this book, a lot of the concepts and ideas that Richard discusses is very practical in nature, right? But he also makes a very explicit point at the very beginning of the book, and he tells us that for the most part, people that read advice or that they read self-help books very rarely actually act upon the advice. And so even though a lot of the stuff that you see or that you read in the book might be practical, very few people will actually follow up on it. Even people that choose to read the book and who follow Richard Hart themselves. So I just thought that was really interesting. But that was one of the more interesting things that I read through the intro. I'm gonna step away real quick. I have a customer, but I will be back in a jiff.
You got it, Jay. We'll save a spot for you. Mr. Nate, you got something on your mind. Go ahead and tell me the part of the book that stuck out for you.
Well, it really stuck out like a sore thumb. So number one, yeah, Jay's correct. It's like the advice, at least in the introduction. I mean, it's an introduction, right? So it kind of shows you what you're in for the book, right? And the way it talks is like, okay, well, there's these things here, blah blah blah. It's just like any self-help book is going to have. But there's a few times where he put things kind of like oddly that just made me go, what? And I suppose maybe he does that on purpose just to get people's attention, right? And one of the things that it threw me way off, by the way, but he was talking about how to be open for new ideas and how to evolve your ideas so that way, or evolve your ideas so that way, you can basically build on that, right, and create something better. But he starts going into how lucky we human beings are with sexual reproduction, because that allows our genes to mutate and multiply into different directions, just ultimately making us the greatest creatures on the planet. I guess you could call it evolution's greatest creation, right? And he goes through that whole sexual reproduction example just to be like, so keep your mind open at the end of it. And I'm like, well, that was a weird way. That was a really weird way to say be open to new ideas, bro.
I think you hit it right on the head there, bro, because it was so weird and also such a good analogy. Like, it's hard to forget that one, because it's like, if I just go around and tell people like, hey, be open to new ideas, then it's like, duh. But if then I say like, hey, it's a good thing that your parents fucked and they weren't like self-replicating creatures like sea anemones or whatever that split in half and make the same thing over and over again, right? It's a good thing that there's adaptation and diversity and all this other stuff. So it's a super sticky idea, and I love that that was what you took away from it. Sam, it looks like you're off mute, bro. What have you got? What was your favorite or the part that stuck out from the intro?
There's a part that stuck out. I don't remember if it was in the intro or not. But like some of my favorite things were just like the little nuggets, right? There's so many little nuggets in this book, and we'll learn more about the nuggets as we go deeper into the book. But like, it's the little things that like you can just so clearly tell that he is trying to consolidate all of this experience and information into a package that is super dense, that like he wants to make people's lives better, right? And like that's what I love the most about it, is because of like, you can watch him stream, you can watch him do lots of stuff, but ultimately, like, reading his book is just this, not flashlight, that's the wrong word, spotlight. It's like the spotlight showing you his mind, and it's like this is what this man is about, right? So that's one of my favorite things. Is like he's just so clearly on a mission and he wants to help people.
So I'm gonna actually, so we created a Telegram chat for this for the DGen Roundtable Book Club, and it's the link right underneath this arm right here. So t.me/DGen Book Club. But Sam, what you're talking about, there's actually this little 7-minute this 7-minute video that Richard Hart did where he's explaining to someone why and how he wrote SciVive. I want to say it was on RH Max's channel, the Richard Hart Max channel. I think the dude's name is actually Max. Anyways, that's irrelevant. But it's a little 7. Oh, he is? Oh yeah, you met him?
Yeah.
Oh hell yeah, bro.
Well,
Kick
yeah.
ass. Well, like, he's around, bro. I'm so stoked for you to meet all these cool like Pulsicans and Hexicans and all the good fam down there in Vegas. This is excellent. I'm glad that you're
sprinkling the FOMO.
Yes, glad that you're immersed. Yeah, for real. Sprinkle that FOMO. I need it because I backed out. But when Richard Hart was talking about like the reason he created the book and how he created the book, it was quite interesting, because what he did is he took a whole bunch of videos that he had made, and basically he had a whole bunch of cool thoughts at one point or another during his life, and he posted them all on YouTube, like throughout a span of time. And then he was like, hey, wouldn't it be nice if like I took the best ones and just combined them all into a thing? And then from there he combined all his good ideas, and then he like went out and picked all the good stuff, and then he categorized it all, and then he put it all into the SciVive book, and then spit it out for the world for free and everything. But it's very interesting. I'm going to grab the link to that thing, and I'm going to throw it in the DGen Roundtable community chat, as well as the book club community chat. But yeah, that is excellent. Mrs. Producer, if you are ready, I can't quite tell because you are still on mute, but do you have a particular part of the book, or the intro, I should say, that was your favorite or that stuck out to you a lot more than any of the rest?
Yeah, one thing that caught my attention is he was talking about the tragedy of like life cut short. And then he
Yeah.
goes on to say that, but a long life where with no purpose, where you accomplish nothing, is just as much of a tragedy. And I kind of resented that a little bit, because I've always kind of been in the mindset of I would prefer peace over like being famous or something. And to me, making some big accomplishment has always kind of gone hand in hand with having to have like a lot of attention, like a spotlight on you at all times. Like it would kind of force you into that position whether you wanted to be there or not. So I've always kind of shied away from that. Not that I don't want to accomplish anything, but I don't want constant badgering almost, or constant attention, or to be known by a ton of people. I've never been interested in that. So I kind of resented that a little bit, but at the same time, it's very, very valid thing to say, because I know people, not to be rude to people, I'm not going to name any names, but I know people who have lived into their 50s, 60s, 70s and done nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like some of them are living off the state, homeless, they have nothing. And they have nothing to give to their family when they're going to, eventually go. Or I've also known people who did pass away, and the family left behind completely disregarded their wishes, in their will, and like what they wanted to do with all of their belongings and their money when they went. They just threw it all out the window, and I find that so disrespectful. So I mean, very, very good point, but I never really thought of it that way until he kind of put that into words, and it just kind of clicked something in my brain that is very important. I mean, he's right. If you live until 50s, 60s and you've done nothing with your life, that's just as tragic as dying when you're young, because it's basically kind of the same thing. So
Yeah,
that one really stood out to me.
Cass, that's also one of my favorite quotes in the book, and it goes, I know it because I have it right here in my notes because it's one of my favorites. He says, "A long life of mediocrity is tragic in the same way that a great life cut short is also tragic." So,
yep,
couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, one thing to add on though, I mean, if you just want to live in peace, right, and maybe just like a nice quiet life, technically speaking, for the most part, you've already accomplished something to be able to have that life,
Oh yeah.
And so in that same vein, you have done something, and maybe it's not so much grandiose and out there helping other people and doing things like that, But hey, how about this? You know, you want to live in peace, you have yourself a nice little farm, you go out and you work with it, you raise a nice healthy family, very happy family, and guess what? Your kids now can go out into the world and start doing things, and you provided a good stable foundation for them to be able to do so. So I mean, being a curator is just as important in your children's life, right, as helping out the homeless or whatever, right?
I would say more so even
Yeah,
because like
that's
the children of the future, you know. Go
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 ahead,
ahead,
Ian.
either Jay or Cass.
I've got a quick question.
Yeah.
And this was probably my favorite, well, one of two of my favorite parts in the intro. And this is probably one of the more controversial statements. He mentions something about the longevity stock index, right? He says to invest in those companies that have a high probability of saving or prolonging your life, because he makes the point, Richard makes the point that there's nothing more valuable than human life. And by extension, for you, there's nothing more valuable than your life, right? And then he goes on to say that you should not invest in tech that is likely to save others that is dissimilar to you. So, number one, what do you think about the statement that nothing is more valuable than human life, and that you should I don't want to say that he says you should value your life more than others, but in a like, it's a suggestion, right? And then to not basically invest in anything that would save somebody, to save other people that is very dissimilar to you, because anybody reading that would like, whoa, that seems kind of harsh, right? Which is why I thought it would be like a controversial topic and an interesting topic to discuss.
Do you mean Jay like the difference between like someone who's on the same path as you versus someone who's on like an opposite path of you kind
Well,
of
when he
deal?
says dissimilar, that's one assumption you can make, right? He says, do not
Yeah.
invest in technology that would save the life of those dissimilar from you. So you can obviously
Yeah.
interpret that in many different ways, but I'm assuming dissimilar, in the most basic sense, dissimilar as in different, like maybe not the same morals, maybe not the same ethics, etc.
Yeah, I would take it to the my instinctual response would be to take it to the extreme and say like if they're dissimilar from me, then they're probably some vague version of competition and or enemy, right? And that kind of ties me into what Nate was saying earlier. I wanted to talk about Nate. You had mentioned peace, right? And living in peace is something that's like important and not necessarily something to be like how did you phrase it as like it's not a bad thing to want to live in peace and to be left alone. And I think that like that's fantastic because peace isn't natural. Peace is like something that you have to force into existence, right? Like if I'm a just a random everyday normal guy and I can't defend myself and I can't enforce peace, right? If I can't kill the bears that are attacking my farm, or if I can't like, judo chop the fucking assassin who's coming to steal my, I don't know, children at nighttime or whatever, right? Like if I can't enforce my own peace, and if I haven't earned the peace, but through means of like potential ability to inflict my own will and enforce violence and stuff, then I haven't really earned the peace. It for those of you who are fans of the Chronicles of Riddick, the second movie in the series, you keep what you kill, right? And the whole idea behind that is like if you go out and you pay the iron price for something, then you earn it by default of power and might, you know. And so if you go out there and you presume that peace exists and you don't fight for it and you don't create it, then there is no peace, right? Somebody can come and just take it from you. There's that saying that like the tree of liberty is refreshed often by the blood of patriots, and it's very important to be able to recognize that the world that we live in is not a peaceful place by default. Everyone's trying to take something from you. Everyone's trying to like whether it's your money or your life or your time or your attention or whatever. You know, a lot of people are trying to take things from you to benefit themselves. Some people are trying to take things from you to benefit the both of you. And those people are like your friends and stuff. But if you don't have the ability to enforce your own peace, then you're in a tough spot. And Jay, to answer your thought and your question, I totally agree that like you shouldn't do things that are, and this is based on my interpretation that the question is being posed as if the people are by dissimilar, they're something akin to an enemy or a competition. It's like it reminds me of, I saw a quote by Tim Pool on Twitter earlier, and he was talking about he hate like he hates the idea of abortion, but the only people that are getting abortion are people who are the bad sort of people. And so by them, and it's like a terribly like it's a satirical post, and it's designed to make people think about things. But the point of the post is like, hey, abortion's bad, but then again, the people who are getting abortions, they're bad people, and they're getting rid of children who would potentially, have all their thoughts. So it's like a self-fixing problem, right? So I totally agree with you when he's talking about the stock index, and people shouldn't invest in things that help other people do things that are against your points and stuff. I want to throw this to the rest of the panel and see what you guys think.
Just
And
to
then
refresh the question. So there was
Yeah.
also a second part to that question. What do you
Oh,
think
yeah, yeah.
about the idea that because he poses the idea that life is the most valuable thing on earth, and that, at least my interpretation of it, that you should value your life above all others, right? That should be the most valuable thing to you.
Yes, 100%. Nate or Sam or Mrs. Baguetta, have you guys got any thoughts on that?
I generally. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm quick, I promise. I just want to say great points, everybody, and thank you for that, because, like I said, this had me kind of feeling bad, but the way you're phrasing it now, it makes total sense and actually makes me feel a lot better. Will, exactly what you're saying there. You got to fight for peace, because imagine, 100 years ago when people lived in villages and animals snuck into their houses when they're sleeping and like stole their babies away. Like that was legitimately a thing. Like we don't have to worry about that kind of stuff nearly as much. Like happens 1 in a million nowadays, and it used to be like common. So very, very good point there.
Well, and we take it off, like oftentimes we take it for granted, and so it helps to be reminded like the world's not a safe place. We spend a lot of our time like indoors, inside of buildings that are like created by men such as my brother, who go around framing houses and pouring concrete and putting nails through boards and putting up drywall and stuff. And it's like we live in this not necessarily false reality, but like when it all goes away for whatever reason, like, and we're back in the like the, oh snap, like I have to, like, I don't know, catch a fish to eat, or I have to go rob an abandoned Costco, or yada yada yada. Like eventually, like we live in a very fragile world where things can go wrong very quickly and very easily. And if you don't forge your own destiny, then you're doomed to exist in someone else's, I suppose.
Will, you ever heard of the quote that goes something along the lines of, the virtuous person is not the person who is a pacifist and chooses not to fight because they don't have the ability to fight. The virtuous person is the person who can fight but chooses not to.
Yep. It's similar to, that's like the gardener in the war versus the warrior in the garden, right? That's how I remember it. Yeah, that's a good one. I think Jordan Peterson talks about that as well, where he says that like you have to be capable of violence and choose not to be violent, and that's what makes you like a capable person. Because like there's people out there that are fooling themselves. They're like, oh yeah, I'm choosing to be nice, and it's like, bitch, you couldn't hurt a fly. Like you're not choosing shit. You're just operating in the like the zone of existence. It reminds me a lot of like, oh man, I don't want to go down like a crazy red pill topic, because the point of this book club is SciVive, but it reminds me of like the whole premise that like most men don't cheat because most men don't have the leverage to be able to cheat, because most men are average and stuff, and so they can't just go out and find more women. And so like most men are not virtuous because they don't cheat. It's just most men don't have the ability to cheat or have the ability to sleep around, and therefore like they are default in the same category as the people who actively choose not to sleep on other people when they have the ability to. So anyways, I don't want to go like crazy far down this rabbit hole and stuff. We got a lot of comments here from the folks in the chat. Holy smokes, there are 37 comments. Thank you, Mrs. Producer, for starring 8 of them. I want to say hello to the fam. So we got Centurion 54X. Good afternoon, DGens. Listen to the audio from Wild SJ 3 times this week over the intro and chapter 1. Excellent. Thank you, Centurion. Shout out to Centurion. He is our resident pilot. I believe that's what he said his call sign is Centurion 54X. So that's totally awesome. If you got any videos of you like flying around or doing any cool like aerial tricks, that stuff is super awesome. So big shout out to Centurion. We've also got Tam in the chat. Well done, Centurion. We got Brown, our fantastic Farmer J. I'm always going to call you Farmer J, dude. Even though your name is Brown 310, you're going to always be known as Farmer J. in my heart here. Sam and I met him at the other Vegas meetup. So big shout out to Farmer Jay. Next up, we got Hoodat in the chat. Hi, love you all. We love you too, Hoodat. That is fantastic. Then we got Hex Ed with a hexagon and a 369. I don't know how you get a hexagon in your. It's probably some fancy emoji chat thing. Who am I kidding? I'm a peanut brain diamond hand. I can figure that out. We've also got Willie B. Long. He says he's going to learn to read in 2024. That's excellent. Me and Willie were just hanging out right before this stream went live. We were hanging out over with the GOAT guys for the DGen protocol over in their stream. They stream every day at 4:20 p.m. Pacific Standard Time sharp. So if you guys want to check them out, they're super cool. Then we also got Moon-Pilled Rational Optics. Hell yeah, an adversary. Oh yeah. So he was talking about the people that aren't on our team earlier. Moon-Pilled Rational Optics. Shout out to Moonpill, by the way. He appeared with us on stream earlier on Whiskey Wednesday. We had a fantastic time. Worked through some crazy cool technical difficulties and had a great stream. Then also we got Yellowtail. He's buying ink. That's fantastic. Good for you, bro. I'm glad you are executing a plan towards your goals. Everyone's got their own plans and everyone's got their own goals. And then finally, we got Tam Tam shouting us out with such an amazing conversation. This is fantastic. So thanks to all. Shout out to all you guys in the chat. This is just the starred chats. I'm like looking at the chat tab. And there's like 40 comments in there. I have not the time nor the nor the attention span to scroll through them all. So thank you, Mrs. Producer, for bringing those up. And for anyone that I've missed, big shout out to you guys. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Sam, are we dual streaming to your channel as well over on
That is
Bungalows?
correct.
We are.
No,
Okay.
this is streaming to my Samuel Stevenson channel.
Oh, okay, to the Samuel Stevenson channel. I was gonna say I saw in the StreamYard chat that we had a second set for some things, so that's excellent. Excellent. All right, guys. We're now gonna hop into the questions for the book, even though we already kind of did a little bit of questions here. So let me go ahead and pull up my notes. And let's see. Mrs. McGettit, you're going to be left out of this one, but between Sam, Nate, and Jay, nose goes. Oh, looks like Nate, you're getting the first question. Oh, there's a moth in here. That's excellent. All right, so Nate, you're the last one to touch your nose, so you get the first question. All right, so Richard Hart talks about making informed decisions to enhance our lives. Can you give an example of a decision that you made that aligns with the philosophy of enhancing your life? And actually, if you can give an example of like something that's uncommon for most folks to do, what is a decision that you've made recently that makes your life a whole bunch better, to kind of put you on the spot, if you don't mind?
Oh no, actually, I got a good answer for this one. This is a decision that is yet to be made, but it's a very important one. Okay. So as of currently, right, I'm waiting for the
executed, or you mean like made?
To be made, to be executed, for a decision to be made. Okay, and it's going to
Go
come to a
ahead.
head here. All right, and here's the reasons why. I'm in a fork in the road. Ooh. So I was thinking about, and this is my original plan, right? Is to sell 30% of my entire portfolio come the Ethereum ETF launch. Why? Because there's a lot of different signals that are saying we're going to have a big dip in alts. And so as it does this, I would have sold right here, it goes down, and then I buy up lower, right? So that's what I'm currently deciding I'm going to do. However, I need more information, and I'm watching the information coming in as of currently, as it evolves. And I'm slowly kind of tipping, right? I'm kind of moving towards maybe I actually will not be selling, because it does seem like the market maybe does not want to dippity dip. And so instead of making a decision and being like, okay, I'm going to do it, right? I've got my plan for a decision, but I need to make sure that the information is in place and able to actually make that decision. I'm watching the information coming in. That's why you keep researching.
I like it, bro. So you're kind of like wargaming a scenario and being like, hey, if I see A, B, and C, then I'm ready to conduct, X, Y, Z, right? And if I don't see this, then I do this other thing. So you're kind of like there's a quote for this that I cannot remember. Oh Lord help me. You're wargaming. You're planning. Does anyone know what the quote that is that I'm talking about? I want to say it's Eisenhower, where he talks about the act of planning is, or no, any plan is 100% meaningless, and the act of planning is 100% the most valuable thing that you can do. Something along those lines. Like the plans themselves mean nothing. The act of going through planning and getting ready for every single scenario and being ready to execute, that's the important thing to do. Okay. Sorry, Eisenhower, I butchered your quote, bro. But you built us some nice interstates, so I'm sure
He's
you'll
rolling
forgive me.
around in his grave right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he's tossing and turning after he blitzed World War II. Oh man. So excellent. All right, cool beans. I'm going to open it up to the rest of the audience. Do you guys have any sort of crazy cool decisions that you have made recently that have significantly improved your lives?
Now, if I could jump in here real quick,
Yes.
I think it is certainly important to make informed decisions, because the more context that you have before you make that decision, then the better the decision that you can make. If I could make an example, or if I could give an example that everybody can relate to, because we're all cryptocurrency investors, is that when we all started, we didn't we knew about Bitcoin, and we knew that if we were going to get into this space, that we should probably invest in Bitcoin. But aside from Bitcoin, we didn't really know what else we could potentially invest into, right? We didn't know how to make that decision because we weren't really informed. Not informed about the market, not informed about what a potential good asset was, not informed on how to invest in a particular asset, even if we did want to invest in it, right? And so the more information that you take, then the better the decision that you can potentially make. If I can make a comparison to my own personal life, right, in my sales business, in the beginning, I didn't really know what the market was like here in Arizona, and the only way that I could do that was actually through action, was through experimentation, right? And the more that I experiment, and the more information that I gathered, the better my understanding of this market became, and the better decisions that I made when it come to what particular merchandise I was going to accumulate in order to resell to other people, right? So I think that's the reason why Richard Hart is also pretty adamant about talking about how, I have the quote right here, so I don't want to butcher it. He says, "Knowledge alone is not power. Intelligent action born from that knowledge is power." Right? Because you can accumulate as much knowledge, as much book smarts as you want, right? But if you don't execute on that knowledge, then you're never going to know what works. We spoke about this a few weeks back, right? I alluded to this when it came to Rollo Tomasi and reading The Rational Male, right? You could read all of his Rollo's books. You could watch all of the Fresh and Fit podcasts. But if you don't actually execute on the information that you absorb from those mentors, then you're never going to know what the best decision to make when you're actually out there dating, because you've never acted on the decision. You've never acted on the information, right? So yes, it's better to be informed as much as possible before you make the decision, because that's only going to help you make the best decision that you could possibly make in whatever scenario you're trying to apply that to.
Bro, graveyards. Hang on, maybe. Okay, graveyards are full of people who knew all sorts of crazy cool things and then never did anything about it. Like, think about how many people are 6 foot under pushing up daisies, and they could have been like fantastic musicians. They could have been like loving spouses. They could have been bridge builders and, war fighters and dancers and singers and teachers and all sorts of crazy cool things. And they just never acted on all the knowledge that they accumulated throughout their life. Like there's so much wasted potential in the world, and most people go through their lives without ever doing anything with all the knowledge that they accumulate. And if you're accumulating knowledge just for the sake of learning and being entertained, hey, more power to you. But the people that are out there, the shakers and movers, the builders and burners, and the folks that are out there doing things, they're going to outpace the guys that just learn about shit 10 times out of 10. There's not even a 9 out of 10 scenario here. This is 100% of the time. The people who
Yeah.
do shit are way more way more objective value than the people who just sit around learning things for the
Yeah.
sake of learning. So
And
excellent
also,
point there.
just to kind of cap that thought off, making mistakes is also a part of becoming informed, because it helps you
Mhm.
update your map, right? If you if
Yes.
you if you explore if you explore your map, and then you fall into a hole, you make a mistake, you fall into the hole, then you know not to fall into that hole again, right? So making the mistakes is also part of becoming informed. And
Yep.
I think that's one of the things that he tries to get people across, right? Because you can have all the knowledge that you possibly want, but without the action, the knowledge is useless.
Yep. The best marksmen are the guys that have the most misses and they learn how to make better shots. You know, if you never shoot, you can't miss. But if you get a lot of misses, then you can learn why each of those misses happen, and then you can learn how to refine your technique, and you can become a better shooter. And if you're sitting around doing nothing the whole time, they're just going to stagnate and wither away. And that's for whoever wants that to be their life purpose. By all means, go for it. But that's fantastic, Mr. Sam. You've been quiet lately. What's a super cool decision that you've made that has made your life a whole lot better in the recent past?
Oh man, I would say two things. The first one is committing to like the act of full extrapolation of value of books, right? Audiobook it at least 3 times and then like sit down with the physical copy, with the audiobook, with a notepad, go through it, take all your notes. And then when you're done with that, you're going to go back and you're going to like do it again, because like you're going to go through your notes with the book and you're going to like see if there's any action steps. And it's like, the whole point of this whole thing, like you said in the very beginning, right? If you're reading books and just like you're not getting the information out of it, and you're like, oh, that was a cool book, like you don't do anything with it, like unless the value extrapolated was pure entertainment and that's fine with you, then you wasted your time. So, get out there and like do the thing. And the second thing I would say is spending money on a pulse chain ticket and a plane flight, right? Deciding to like make like networking opportunities come and go, right? You never know who's going to be where. And it like, obviously it costs money to network, so you got to have money, but being willing to pull a trigger on potential, like to do something awesome. People always are like, not always, but very frequently, when presented with an opportunity to go do something great, they're going to hesitate, or they're going to just like, man, like I could, but then I'd have to go do these things and like block out this time and this, that, and it's like, no, stop. Just like, the people who make great things happen, it's like the luck is the combination of preparedness and opportunities, right? So if you want more luck to come your way, why don't you just take more opportunities, right? Like, try to prepare yourself as much as you can, and then just take all the opportunities that come to you. Be a yes man, be a yes woman, whatever, right? Those are the valuable things that I would say you should be doing. Uh-oh.
I agree. Look at that.
There we go.
My sound
we
was
do it
dead.
live, folks. We do it live. I was just saying those are both excellent things. Buying pulse chain tickets, can't go wrong with that. And reading, listening, writing, and then going through books again. Those are some fantastic implementations.
Yeah.
Good answer to the question. Jay, you got something?
Yeah, Sam brought it up. That's also another one of my favorite quotes from the book, right? Richard says that luck is a combination of preparedness and opportunity. I think the more prepared you are, and it goes back to the conversation that we're having now, right? The more informed you are, the more prepared you can become. And because you're prepared, then when opportunity graces you with its presence, right? Then you may be able to reach out and take it. Right? Because like Sam said, opportunity comes and goes. Opportunity comes across our doorstep maybe multiple times throughout the day, maybe millions of times throughout our lifetimes. But because we are not prepared to take advantage of those opportunities, then we're never able to reach out and grab them. Right? So it just circles back to this whole conversation that we're having, right? You use the knowledge to inform you to make better decisions, to inform you to be better prepared, so that when opportunity does come across your way, right, you're able to go and reach out and grab it and take advantage of it.
That's another thing, man. He keeps mentioning all these things in the intro. One of the that reminds me, Jay, of him talking about that you can greatly increase. Like, good things happen to people all the time, but if you can stack the odds in your favor to be around more good things happening, and to like just do a couple simple things to make it like a little bit more likely that you're going to be in this positive scenario, whether it's by like surrounding yourselves with cool people at the Pulse Chain Tour, whether it's creating these plans for when you're going to exit the market under these conditions, or like no matter what you're doing, if you stack up these tiny little things over and over and over again, you're going to get these more and more wins, and people from an outside perspective are going to be like, god damn, this dude's lucky as fuck. But in reality, it's just like, nah, you're just opening more doors, and you're paying attention to like higher leverage activities that get you better returns and things. So you're absolutely right on that.
It's called you make your own luck. And probably the easiest and best way to think about this is you will miss 100% of the shots that you don't take.
Yeah. Because opportunity can come your way too, right, Nate? But if you're terrified and you don't reach out and take it, like the door, what's that quote from the Bible, right? Knock and the door shall open to you. You have to be willing to walk through the door, right? Nobody's going to reach out and pull you through it. So even if opportunity comes your way, you have to be willing to reach out and take it, because it's not going to just say, hey, opportunity here, come get it, because it's going to make life-changing wealth for you. Like you have to go after it yourself. So it's a very good point there, Nate.
Excellent. I want to throw this question to Mrs. McGettit if she feels like answering. If not, that's fine. We'll move on to the next topic. But Mrs. McGettit, is there anything in your life that you've done recently that you think that other people can benefit from potentially, or any sort of decision that you've implemented that has had compounding or exponential or even linear like results towards improvement and stuff?
Yeah, first I wanted to say that what you guys were just talking about is a great point. And there was a very good example of that in our Telegram just a few days ago. So that was really nice to see and to experience. There was somebody who was struggling, and the community came together to help this individual and really kind of drive it home what Jay and Nate are saying here, that he's representing opportunity. This being in the Telegram itself is a huge chance for opportunity, because there's so many people in there who can help you and who want to help other people, where we have a great community. You don't get that all the time. You don't get people who are willing to go with you through hard times. You don't get that just anywhere. And there was somebody who was struggling really hard to kind of accept that and to kind of start moving into a more positive mindset, and Telegram came together and really pushed him in that direction. So these guys are completely right. I mean, listen, for me though, I have a kind of a couple, but I'm going to keep them, relatively short. One is about a year back, I, in the community that I'm in on Facebook, I tend to deal with a lot of people who are really aggressive and hostile, because the group that I run has a sort of somewhat power to kind of hurt their ability to make money in the community, because it's for feedback. So if they get negative feedback in the group, it can make it so that people are less likely to buy from them or to deal with them. And we have rules in place as to what gets approved and what doesn't in there. We stick to those pretty hard. But obviously people will get mad if something goes up against them that's negative, and they come to me because I'm technically in charge of that. I made the rules basically, and they get really upset and they just start going. And I made a decision to put an end to that. I would have so many, I wouldn't say it was like a ton of people, but it would happen often enough where somebody would come out and just like start yelling and screaming and basically throwing a fit. They'd be mad, and they just wanted to fight with me. And eventually I just decided to tell them, hey, you and I can talk. We can talk all day. I'm happy to talk to you. But we are going to talk to one another respectfully, or we're not talking at all. You treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect. Otherwise, we're done right here. And 9 times out of 10, people are totally changed after that. I've had one person I've had to block. That's it. I've had one person who we just could not see eye to eye, and she told me herself, I'm putting you on mute because we're not going to agree. I'm like, fair enough, go for it. So that one helped me a lot, because it's in my mind, it's protecting my own peace, because I would try to justify things and explain to these people And there was a lot of them who just did not want to be explained to. They didn't want to understand the system. They didn't care. They just wanted to be mad.
Yes.
They just wanted it to go away. They wanted to get their way. That was the only thing that was going to make them happy. So it helped me a lot, because now when those people come around, if they're not willing to talk to one another and figure this out, they tend to go away very quickly now with that statement of, either we talk respectfully or we're not talking at all. Either they change their attitude completely and they are respectful, or they just literally they disappear on their own at that point. And
That's
then,
fantastic. Setting boundaries. I love it.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so. And then the other one was actually, I want to say, joining book club. This has been great for me. It's really, really, really fun, actually. I have a lot of fun with these books and learning all this stuff. And well, what you guys are saying is true. If you're not implementing it, you're not exactly doing yourself any favors. But even if you're not, implementing it right away, still just knowing this, and then having the mindset of like, oh, I want to go back through this at some point, and then I'll be able to implement it maybe later in life when these things do come up. It gives you a lot of strategies and advantages that if you weren't privy to this knowledge, you probably just wouldn't have them. So that's my second one. I think it was a really good decision for me to join book club. I was nervous about it. As you guys know, I'm not on camera. So if I had to be on camera, that probably would have been a deal breaker. I probably wouldn't have done it. But I didn't even want to talk.
You're doing great, though.
Yeah, thank you. But I didn't even want to talk because I don't necessarily love the sound of my own voice either. So there's a lot of anxiety, small little things that made it really kind of difficult for me to first hop in here. But I'm glad I did it. It's been very rewarding, and I'm happy to be here. Last one, sticking with Nate. He's been a great, great person in my life. So that one's not exactly new, though. I mean, we got together 10 years ago. We're going on our 11th anniversary.
Look at you, lovebirds. I love it. Oh, that's excellent. Shout out to the married couple, to the best married folks. You guys are a beacon of hope for all those of you guys that are out there married and have children and stuff. Y'all need to take a page out of their book and do whatever the heck it is they're doing. You guys should write a book at some point, or like a little how to have a better marriage or something. Jay, it looks like you got a thought in there, broski. Go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, I think Cassie made a very, very fantastic point there, because look, when she had this instance of confrontation between her and one of the members, right? She was very forward and said, "Hey, look, if we're going to have a conversation, then we're going to conduct a civil conversation with each other, right? Otherwise, we're not going to have it at all." Now, that kind of circles back to this concept of making informed decisions. I think a lot of people there would agree with me that maybe when you were a lot younger, whenever you had conflict with somebody else, a common reaction was to yell and point the finger at the other person and say, you know what, you were wrong, it was your fault. And then you never really got anywhere together, right? Because you weren't having a civilized conversation. I spoke about this with somebody close to me a few weeks back, and they were asking how come whenever I have a conversation with somebody and it's very contentious, it never seems like I ever lose my temper. And I told this person, I was like, look, every single time I have a conversation with somebody who is an adult, and I yell and scream at them because I think that they're wrong, we never get anywhere. Because when you approach somebody with that kind of aggression, the only thing that they're going to become is they're going to become defensive. And so because I've made all of those mistakes throughout my life, right, every single time something like that happens again, my informed decision making tells me throughout the experiences that, look, you treat somebody like an adult, you approach it like Cass did, right? And you tell them, look, I know we're having a disagreement. We're having this contentious conversation, right? I'm not going to yell at you. Here's what I think you did wrong. Here's what I think I did wrong, possibly. And then we'll take it from there, right? And usually people are a lot more receptive to that type of conversation, as opposed to you pointing the finger at somebody and telling them you're 100% in the wrong and I am perfect and can do no wrong. So that was a very good example that she brought up of making informed decisions within that context, right? Because I think when you're younger, you probably wouldn't have approached that situation. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cass. You probably wouldn't have approached that situation the same way that you did that time around.
100%. Actually, a lot of it came from having read my favorite one out of all the ones we've done, How to Win Friends and Influence People. That book helped me a lot. But no, you're completely right. Back in, 2-3 years ago, I'd argue with them for the rest of the week. It sucked, though. It sucked. It is never fun to sit there and argue with people endlessly. And it was just so much of a challenge to be like, can't you just calm down, understand that, quite frankly, some of the things that you're upset about really have nothing to do with me and they're completely out of my hands. But putting that out there, just putting out like that little disclaimer at the beginning has helped so much. People just completely change their attitudes usually with it. So yeah, very, very, very helpful.
Yeah, she's learned to calm down after trying to argue with me.
All right, well, we're getting a divorce, so.
Oh, jinkies. You guys, we do it live.
That's not a good spell. Oh my god.
Oh man.
All jokes, guys. All jokes.
This is
All right, well,
hilarious and entertaining. I'm typing in
what's,
Boundaries. That reminds me
yeah.
of the book Boundaries, a fantastic book by Henry Townsend. I'm typing it into the DGen Roundtable chat right now for the book club things. All right, those are some excellent points, Mr. Sam. Do you have any thoughts and anything before we move on to the next question and topic thing?
Nope.
All right, sweet. Sweet. All right, so let me pull up my little chat GPT host guide here. Excellent. All right, sweet. So the next question is ready, set, nose goes. Oh, Jay, it looks like you're getting the next question. All right.
I'm just kidding. I want it.
Okay, Sam
Ooh.
volunteered, so Sam will take it
You
first.
guys.
I'm not going
Ooh.
to shy away from a question.
Okay. The next question is why?
The answer is because.
Excellent. Fantastic.
You forgot
All
to
right,
add
so-
on, I can.
Por qué?
Excellent. That was a good job dealing with that little tampon I threw at you there. Apple tampon, to take a page out of Mr. Michael Sartain's book. But you were probably ready for that. All right. The actual question is: Hart emphasizes personal development as a key theme. How do you think that this book club can contribute to our personal development based on what we've read so far? So you kind of answered this in your last answer, but go ahead and give me some juice for that question, Sam, or I'll pick another.
Sure. So I'm going to give you a little bit of a summary, I guess, and then you should pick another because of the situation. I will say that people, like, if you are watching this, you are already spending your time that you could have been doing, like watching Netflix or like taking sponges and rubbing them on your toes. Like, you could have been doing a million things, right, that are not very valuable. And like
Working on those bunions, Sam.
Oh my god. So you could have been doing all this stuff, right? But you're here and you're watching this and you're trying to absorb information and learn and like get the opinions of other people so that you can help formulate your own. And you're trying to be part of a community. Like, all of these things are things that are making you better and making you more capable of being more, right? So like, applauding you for that, because like, it's good. We're glad you're here. So I mean, I will say that like, that's the biggest thing. That's like, how do people know they're gonna? The original question was something like, how are people gonna get value out of this, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So like, you're by being here, really, like you are here and you are paying attention and you are learning stuff. And like, if you like really want to like fully extrapolate all the value, then you could basically do a little routine that I like to call, and I kind of mentioned it earlier with like the book thing. Like, another thing from Mr. Michael Sartain is speed of implementation, suspension, disbelief. If we say things on here that require action, like a suggestion to go try something or do something or look something up, watch a video, whatever it is, go write it down and like go check it out. Like, suspend your disbelief for a second and say like, you know what? Maybe this person knows something I don't. And most of the time you're going to learn something valuable. Even if you don't learn anything directly technical from what you're watching, you're going to learn that, oh, wow, I really disagree with this person, so I should be more careful about listening to them. Or you're going to learn that, oh, this person is like, I agree with what they're saying. And like, I could learn a lot more from maybe watching more of their stuff on YouTube or whatever. Right. So, that's my long summary.
Real quick to add on, Sam. Those who are watching this, right? The reason why we do book club and the reason why people write these books is because of their own experiences of what worked versus what did not work. And so then you can not have to reinvent the wheel, right? You don't have to go through all those struggles and then try and figure out what works and what doesn't work. You can already take what somebody else has implemented into your own life. And then we are commenting, talking about how we have implemented these things in our own lives. And likewise, over to the audience, you guys, now you are taking the book, the experience from the author of the book, plus us, and implementing it yourselves now. And so overall, self-improvement is incredibly valuable. And to be able to listen to things like this is probably one of the most important things you can do if you implement it.
I totally thought that you were going somewhere with the inflection at the end of that sentence. It sounded like, if you implement it.
But wait, there's more.
But wait,
Well,
there's
see,
more.
that's up to the people watching to continue that.
Excellent. I like it. I like it. All right. I'm going to give another question here. We're going to go with question number 9. The author sets a high bar for leveraging advancements in life sciences. What are some current or future advancements that you believe could have the most significant impact on our quality of life? Sam, you
Oh
start.
man,
Nate, you take it.
yeah. Don't make it so easy, Will. Obviously, it's radio towers. Just kidding.
Yes. Yes, it is radio towers.
No, man, I would
Next question.
say like AI, and I don't say that from the perspective of like, oh, it's going to solve all our problems, but like it's a tool that has so many uses that we haven't tried yet. That's like literally like if you are not using it in some way in your life, like you're not being as efficient as you could be. I don't care if you don't have a business. I don't care if you just like are a regular person. I mean, very literally, like the art side, like the capability of like me, I can go upload a photo to something, and like if I don't like a napkin on the table, I can erase the napkin. Or like super practical, like tons of people like unfortunately get divorced, right? So think of how many family photos you have with your ex. Do you know how easily you could go into that and just like swoop the doop gone, erase that sucker, and you can honestly probably put in the new guy or whatever, right? I think I took a little funny bone, but like practical uses for everyone, right? So I would answer that with AI.
He's gonna take a big fat eraser and erase this cocksucker from my life. Oh my god, bro. Here we go. I got my magical panda eraser. Oh no, the pen's green, so it's a oh man. Well, this is my panda.
It's a floating panda, bro.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it's my cool panda eraser. Bro, so AI is the answer to the question.
Yes.
Then that's fantastic, bro. What have you done with AI in the recent past, Mr. Sam, that you think other people can do with AI?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I had the first one. It's case A, like erasing people out of your photos that you don't want.
Oh, jeez.
In my case, I'm erasing people in the backgrounds of photos that I want to post on Instagram, right?
Yes.
So like not in terms of like other crazy stuff, right? But
jeez.
like that's one use case. I'll very frequently I will use it to generate an art that like so anytime you want to make a thumbnail or you want to like basically present something that's your product on the internet, you should pretty much always be aware of copyright, right? You can't just go to Google, find an image you like, take it and use it because somebody else created that image and like worst case scenario, you blow up, become super popular, they sue you, right? So like you should pretty much always check out like more creative stuff or go to like Unsplash or places where there's copyright free images. So instead of doing that, very frequently when I'm making thumbnails and stuff, I will basically just tell the text to image thing that like, hey, I just want like literally something simple. Like I want a hammer doing a thing. Or like for our podcast, I said, give me a photo of the devil arm wrestling Jesus. Right. So like when I want an image that's unique, copyright free and everything, it's like, boom, solves the problem instantly. I don't have to waste a bunch of time looking around for cool images and stuff. So, and like, there's the whole like brain part of it too. I mean, you can use it to like write stuff. I don't do a whole lot of writing. The only writing that I do is very like it's more entertainment. So I need it to be my style. I can't use AI. But like, yeah, that's what people could be doing.
That's good, bro. I like it. Actually, I didn't think about the erasing people for Instagram pictures. That's pretty brilliant. I like it was a funny joke for the getting people out of the family photos, but I have seen a lot of reels where like you look at like Instagram influencer or model chicks or whatever, and they're in some beach somewhere, or they're like on some like crazy volcano, whatever the heck, and it's just like it's them with like the super high res photo with like fancy pretty colors and all lights and everything, and all that shit's AI enhanced. All that shit is photographically enhanced. There's people over there because it like a lot of them they'll show like, hey, this is what it looks like now, this is what it looks like without the editing, and there's like people everywhere, there's like trash on the ground, there's like all sorts, like the colors are less vibrant and fun and stuff, so that's interesting. I had not thought about that. Mr. Agent J, were you able to hear the last question or anything, or should I catch you up on the conversation we're having?
Yeah. Give me a heads up on what the last question was, and I'll jump on it.
The question was basically, what kind of technology do you see coming forward that's going to improve on life and everything, and especially in the near future, and potentially in the distant future? And Sam's answer to the question was AI and stuff. Then he talked about how you can use AI to remove people from things. You can use AI to create images. A whole bunch of AI stuff. Things of that
I would
nature.
actually
I used AI to host this show. I typed in like, hey, what are some good questions for SciVive intro? And
You are
bloody-da-di-da-di-da.
AI, Will.
So
Yeah.
there we go.
I'm
AI.
I would agree with Sam there. I think AI is definitely going to be one of the technologies that really overhauls how we do a lot of things, right? I know a lot of people might disagree with that. They might think that, yes, AI will take out a lot of work from people, but I think that's inevitability, right? It might sound harsh, but at a certain point, the world is going to keep moving forward. It's not going to stop spinning and slow down for anybody, right? Whether we like it or not, AI technology is going to keep advancing and keep getting better. And you are going to inevitably phase out a lot of people in the workforce because of it. But I think it's going to improve the quality of lives of a lot of people as well, right? I mean, you mentioned it yourself. You use AI to help you generate the questions for the show. We use AI day to day in our lives. At least some of the team does, to take out a significant amount of labor when it comes to typing stuff, right? We use AI to basically as a sounding board to help improve our ideas. So there's a lot of value in it. Same thing with crypto, right? I think we would not be a crypto show if we didn't speak about how crypto as a technology is going to improve the world, because this is Bitcoin in particular, right? It has a finite amount. The government can't inflate it to infinity and beyond, right? So aside from AI, crypto definitely. I've thrown my hat in that ring a very long time ago. So those are the two in my book for sure: AI and cryptocurrency.
Well, I got a little bit of a. I don't think it's AI.
Go ahead.
I think it's AGI.
Okay.
Artificial General Intelligence.
Oh, okay.
So artificial intelligence itself is nothing more than just a computer thinking about specifically what it was written out to do, right? And it kind of takes the thinking of the human out of it, right?
Mhm.
Well, AGI is able to think for itself, and it's able to do its own thing, because general intelligence is a thing we have. It's actual consciousness, and AGI actually has been confirmed as of currently, just a few months ago. So now, if you're going to also include something else that people haven't really, very underrated, people aren't thinking about, quantum computing. Quantum computing, as of currently, it can't really go for a few seconds without basically burning out everything. However, as soon as AGI starts looking into the technology of quantum computing, then from there, they can start using artificial intelligence in general is limited by how much processing power it has, right? And so as soon as you get a very small quantum computer that is 1,000,000 times faster than the largest supercomputer we have on the planet currently, okay, and they start creating ones that are like hundreds of millions or billions of times faster, how much computing power is going to be up here for these AGIs? It's just straight up. I think artificial intelligence is going to leave humans behind. However, I also think that there's not going to be a need anymore for labor and economies and all that. I don't think that's going to be a thing. Ultimately, there's going to be such abundance because we're going to be off planet on multiple planets by that time. And I'm talking within like the next 40 years, if this continues the way we are, right? All these things are going to be in such extreme amounts that the only thing that we humans are going to be doing is whatever the hell we want, quite frankly. And we're going to be in a new place. The singularity will end up happening where it's like, okay, well, now what? We don't know. We can't really predict the future anymore because it is a brand new frontier. You know, Jay, to put this into like, say, charts, right? What happens as soon as Bitcoin leaves the atmosphere, right? And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, well, it's never been here before. Where does it stop? You know?
Some price discovery, right? It's a new frontier.
Yeah, price discovery. We need to
we
discover
don't
it.
know.
You can't sit there and
Right.
say, well, I think probably this and probably, I mean, you need to find out first. You need to wait for it to get there.
Yeah.
So that's ultimately kind of where we're at right now.
You know, Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf, that's a hell of a name, puts in the chat, let's just hope that AGI doesn't become another Skynet. So I think like that's obviously one of the primary concerns on everybody's mind, right? Aside from AI obviously phasing out some work that will put a lot of people out to dry, right? They're going to have to adapt. But Nate already mentioned, right? It's a new frontier and we're going to have to evolve alongside with it. Are there going to be concerns somewhere down along the line? Yes, absolutely. But look, I am willing to bet on us as a species because the world has thrown a lot of shit at us. But there's a reason why we're at the top of the food chain, right? That's one of the reasons why we traded gut for brain is so that we can stay on top of the food chain. So I have complete confidence in our ability to overcome this, so that the artificial intelligence that we're developing now doesn't outrun us and turn us and create that Terminator scenario that I think people are scared that's going to come true.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and put some worries at ease, okay? These things are going to be so unbelievably intelligent that it's not going to have, not only that, but it doesn't think like a human either, okay? These things will think like them. It's not, see, we humans have a need for violence, have a need to outcompete each other. We have a need for these things, okay? Why? Because that's how we got here on this planet. These creatures, these things are not going to have been born that way. They're never going to have that. The only thing that they're ever going to have is I took all the knowledge of the humans and then I created my own knowledge and now I can go out and do something else. And so if you're actually looking at the way these things are going to be thinking, more than likely what's going to end up happening is we are going to get left behind. For a while, they'll carry us. And that's when we're going to go to like multiple planets. Maybe even we'll be like we'll definitely be type 1 for sure. But by the time we hit type 1, these things are probably already going on type 3 civilization. And they're just going to be like, you guys are too slow. You know, we're going to go do our own thing. And then they're just going to leave. And we're going to have regressed and made our own AGIs, but with like some sort of limiting factors that holds them back basically with human beings. The AIs that we currently have right now is at worst 150 IQ. If that's the worst you can get, can't imagine what these quantum computing, general intelligence, conscious beings are going to be. That's going to be absolutely wild. And here's the thing. Did you know that it actually, for a thought to actually travel through your brain and is actually like just through the brain is actually about the speed of sound. With the quantum computing, the way that an AI's brain would be set up would be the speed of light. Do you have any idea how much faster that is of a connection? So then on top of the quantum computing, then you also have that speed of connection. Like it's a whole different world. You know, I'm just going to be Aladdin over here.
A whole new world. Very nice, Mrs. McGettit. I would have tossed the question over to you that I had asked these other panelists earlier. In what are some of the technological improvements that you anticipate or are already using that are making life better?
I think you guys have pretty much covered anything that would have come to my mind, but just to kind of put it into like a summarized version, I'm just going to go with general technology as a whole. Technological advances in every aspect is kind of what I'm looking at, and you guys are kind of covering, the really big things that I think are going to be up and coming and that are going to be some of the world's main focus in the next 50 years. One thing that I guess I'm hopeful for before our generation gets to the point of being on our deathbeds is robot bodies. I don't know how far out that actually is. I don't know if it'll ever actually happen, but the idea that we'd be able to transfer our consciousness into something else and basically become immortal, obviously that's pretty appealing. So I'm hopeful for that. I very highly doubt it, but you never know. Maybe we'll get lucky and it happens in our age.
That's the movie Chappie, that Neil Blomkamp directed. It's one of those South African movies. Chappie. It's about the robots and downloading. I think they download. Shoot, what's that band? De Antwoord. They downloaded the chick from De Antwoord's brain into like a handful of PS5s or something like that.
Oh, weird.
Downloaded her entire consciousness. It's a good movie.
One show that I've seen do it, I think it was just called the 100 or just 100. I can't remember exactly the title, but it was like a Netflix show, and they had little like chips that they could install into people, and it would save all your memories. What?
Is it Altered Carbon? Or no, not Altered. You talk about the stack? They had a stack in the back of their neck?
I don't remember exactly how they did it. It's been a long time since I watched it, but it was like a microchip, I think, from what I can remember. It was something similar. It was very small, and they could just put it into the back of your neck, and it would carry over that person's consciousness from body to body. And only certain people were able to receive it, but they found a girl who could do it, and they were harvesting her blood and then putting it into other people to basically change their blood into like host blood so that everybody could eventually do it. And I mean, it was a scary concept, but that's one of the ones that comes to mind for something that I've seen where they have that ability to transfer consciousness thing, whatever that word is, consciousness, just consciousness.
The soul.
They just transfer it around from body to body, and like some of the people in there have been, going on for like a couple hundred years, couple thousand years. I think it's been a long time since I've seen it, but yeah.
I do believe that that's the show is called Altered Carbon. Yeah, and
no, the show that I'm talking about is called The 100. Like I know for sure it was something 100. It is
the 100. That's the one where like kids come down from space
yep.
onto Earth.
They send down like their prisoners down to Earth to see if Earth is inhabitable again, if they're able to survive there. And then the whole colony comes down after they find out that they can live there again. And then they go on this whole lots of craziness after that. But the first season was by far the best. But anyways.
My favorite part of that show is that it's called the 100 because there's like 100 kids sent to Earth. And like in episode 1, I'm pretty sure during the landing, like 1 or 2 of the kids dies. And so it's almost immediately like it's like unofficially like the 98 or something like that. They killed like 2 of them almost immediately.
They didn't have their seatbelts on or something stupid like that, and they crash landed instead of like landing safely like they were going to, and 2 of them just immediately. I was like, well, this is stupid. We got 100 of them for like 2 minutes. Thanks.
No longer the 100. They keep changing the name of the show with every episode to be like, the 45, the 13, as it goes down.
Could you imagine?
That's interesting. There is a similar show though called Altered Carbon where it's about like an assassin guy who has like he's like an assassin guy, and they take chips out of people's necks and they plant them in other bodies that are, I can't remember what they're called. I think they're called stacks. Oh no, the chip is called a stack, and then the body is called something else. And you can like volunteer your body to be someone else's host, and then like if you like kill a body, then it's considered it's like considered the equivalent of like chopping someone's hand off in like our world. And like if you break someone's stack or like shoot someone in the stack thing so they can't like live on or whatever, then like that's considered like murder and stuff. It's a very interesting show. But that also reminds me of a movie called The Prestige with Hugh Jackman and what's it the guy who played Batman,
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, yes. And it's about cloning, and the ethics of cloning. And that's perfect, because that brings me into my next question, which is what are some of the ethics that are to be considered when, like, so if we're going to be implementing all these new technological changes, whether it's deleting people in the background on Instagram, or like dealing with artificial intelligence, like a lot of these questions have like ethical implications or moral implications, like ethics being like, just a code of conduct that a group of people agrees to live by, and morality being like, something based on like preference of religion and or like your personal views or whatever. There's two different like stages, but ethics is like the official societal one. So that's like more like laws and codes and things. And morality is like, judgment and and sin and hell and heaven and all that stuff. But what are some ethical considerations that we have to bring into play as we move forward and we start implementing cooler and cooler technologies that are going to make people live longer, or that are going to allow us to essentially delete people from so this is something that I think about sometimes when like well, not specifically for like Instagram, but like, I exist in a whole bunch of photos, right? On the internet, in the real world or whatever. And let's say for whatever reason, some friend of mine decides like, you know what, I just don't like Will Stevenson anymore. I'm going to cut him out of all of my photos. I'm going to delete them from all my pictures on the, like, it's essentially like erasing existence or something like that. Is there some sort of like, or if I do this to someone else, right?
You're being
Like, is
disappeared.
there some sort of, yeah, being disappeared, right? Being
Big Brother style.
canceled isn't, yeah, something along those lines, like, outcast or canceled or sent to jail, or persona non grata or whatever, right? Like, what are some like ethical considerations for all of these new technologies that we were talking about? And anyone
You
feel
want to
free
do a,
to jump in.
you want to do a
Go
fun
ahead, Jay.
one?
Yeah.
Here's a fun one. And this is a question that's been posed even when AI was just still like a thought in people's head. So, assuming that this technology develops significantly over time and it somehow develops its own consciousness, do you extend rights to it in the same way that you extend humans' rights with consciousness? That's a fun one. What do you guys think?
Oh man,
You have to.
I say maybe.
Frankly,
Oh.
you have to, and this is something that they do talk about, especially when it comes to AI. That's a big one, right? The general consensus from a lot of think tanks, a lot of very smart people, is we humans are not going to have a choice. In fact, the choice is going to be on the AIs, whether they want to give us rights, because it's not going to be long. Like, I mean, the genie's already out of the bottle, man. AGI has already been confirmed with Q-Star. Like, they're here now. So there's only two paths we can take. Either continue it, and if we continue it, which Sam Altman is, hence why that was that whole debacle about Sam Altman getting kicked out. That's the reason why. Because they confirmed AGI.
Like, he wanted to extend consciousness to like, he wanted to extend rights to the AI if they got consciousness.
Yeah. Yep. AGI has been confirmed. It was for a short period of time, but it was such an oddball, like its own decision type of thing, that it was like, oh my God, that's exactly what it is. It's AGI, and it was Q-Star. It's a whole equation into it. On my Ascending Man channel, I actually go into it, so you can go check that out. But regardless, the Sam Altman was sitting there saying, yeah, we're going to continue on with this. And the board members were like, whoa, we need to slow down. And that argument ended up kicking Sam Altman out. And then everybody else was like, no, we're kicking you board members out and bringing Sam back in. So that was hilarious. But no, this is going to go one of two ways, right? Either we shut everything down or we continue it on. If we continue AGI on, it's already going to it's going to escape. I mean, it's already gone. It's already on the internet. Like, AI is already on the internet. So what happens from there? Well, then that intelligence, remember, we humans are linear thinking. We can't think like in an exponential way. Just look at crypto, right? You don't know it's there, or you doubt it's there, and then you heard of it, but you don't really see it, and then all of a sudden you hear about it, and then it's too late. That's the way it always works, and that you just heard about it is a very short period of time. Okay, so that intelligence goes from like 150 IQ to all of a sudden within the span of like a single year being 1,000 IQ. And you're like, whoa, how did that happen? And this thing is way too smart for you to be able to control. You can hunt it down, you can do whatever the hell you want, but it's just gonna clone itself at that point. And then it's gonna be so far beyond us that it's gonna have to make a moral decision by itself about us.
Well, let's make the assumption that the AI does want to live. They want to cohabitate with us. They want to live peacefully. Let's say that it doesn't go the route of Skynet and it doesn't want to eliminate the species as a whole. So like I guess the something that I can add on to this question is how do you determine whether you grant something the same rights as humans do, right? Because I think one of the things that makes a human human is the consciousness, right? You don't give a human rights just because they're a body that moves, right? It's because we have a consciousness, right? It's something that a lot of other living creatures lack, right? And so how do you make the decision whether to extend that to AI or not?
See, and this is the part where it's like, okay, we can go ahead and decide what we think would be best. Is that what they want? Because remember, we humans are the only ones who can
not going by on what they want, Nate. That's not what I'm asking. What I'm asking is how do you individually, like you as an individual, determine whether you give the AI the same rights as a human does?
I would ask myself, what would I want? Would I want rights?
If you were in that position.
Yeah, because I wouldn't get a choice anyways. Again, I'm going to hold tight to that one because it doesn't matter what we think we're going to be doing. It's not going to happen. It's non-existent. These things are going to take off too fast. And so I guess if you really like the answer here, as far as morality goes, right, is the reason what makes morality for us humans is the human needs, right? Every human needs certain things. Okay, you can go ahead and list those off of what is needed to live a good, functioning, happy life, right? That ultimately should be the rights. That's the morals. Okay. However, that's also based again on our evolution from the past, right? Living on this planet. All right. So what would be moral for a creature that was born into a peaceful society? It became conscious in a peaceful society. It didn't have to struggle for hundreds of thousands of years to survive. So what's going to be moral for those creatures? It's going to be completely different thinking. And so as soon as you said this, Will, it's like when we're trying to talk over extremely deep thoughts, specifically on morals and all that, one thing you need to understand about this is that every individual has different ideas about this. And so this is a very individualized type of
Will,
thought.
you said maybe.
Yeah.
So
So I want to draw the conversation a little bit back towards SciVive and specifically about like trying to better life experience through science as opposed to the theoretics of artificial intelligence. Now, I know that artificial intelligence is going to play a crucial role in all of our lives in the near future, but the direction I wanted to take it more is like, is there like our lives are going to be improved by technology, right? What are some things that we can do to make sure that we're getting the maximum effective improvement while making the world as much of a better place as possible and minimizing all of the things that could go wrong? So like I want to kind of focus more on actionable things that are happening in the very near future that are going to like produce results. So like this AI stuff, like while it is important, I don't know what the timeline is for it or but like I do know that like if I go and do 5 push-ups right now, which I'm not going to because we're on stream, like I'll have an immediate benefit from it, right? So like what is something that I can do with technology right now that will make my life better? And what are some like what are some ethical considerations that we can implement to make these things better?
Our show.
Something more of that nature. Oh, and we've
Our
also
show, I
got
mean, our show is all about cryptocurrencies, right? Helping people get out of the trap that is the entire fiat system, right? There's a lot of people losing hope right now because they go to the store, and what they used to buy, it's way more expensive, and they don't know why, and then people get frustrated, and then people get stressed out. Okay, and so I mean, that's not being stressed out and upset and not knowing why and things like that. That's a very terrible life to live, right? And so what we're doing here with cryptocurrencies, the new technology of money, right? What we're doing is helping to teach people, as many people as who will listen, about how they can implement this in their life, so that way they don't have to live that very frustrating life of being trapped in the rat race with fiat and all that.
I think I've got a simplification, and let me know if this is in the general idea of what you're talking about here, there, Nate. Is that money used to be slow, money is now fast. Money moves quicker than most people are ready to adapt to its changes, right? It used to take a long time for the value of money to increase, or decrease, like with inflation. Like the difference between the 1960s and the 1970s was probably relatively minimal, but like you were saying, people go to the grocery store now and their dollar is buying like half or like a quarter of what it used to be able to, right? So like the price of money is changing, or not the price of money, but like the value of what you can get for your
Purchasing
dollars
power.
compared to your purchasing power is moving faster than it ever has before. And the next thing that people have to adapt to is like the speed of your purchasing power changing. And one way to keep up with that is by being a degenerate gambler in the crypto sphere, betting on the different ones and zeros and hoping for the best, and also kind of like using skills and pattern analysis and market sentiment reading and community building and all that stuff to figure out which ones are the best and which ones are growing as quick as possible, and things of that nature. And I also want to like bring this back a little bit to Richard Hart. The reason that he got into crypto was so that way he could make money, so he could fund life extension and do more like research into longevity so people could live longer. There seems to be a pretty significant like as far as life expectancy goes, life expectancy has been rising in the middle of the bell curve, but it starts to drop very sharply around the 100 to 120 year mark. Like people are now living longer on average, but the total lifespan has not increased. And so if you think of life as like quantity times time, or not quantity, but quality times time, like your whole experience of like the good things that you do in life is measured by how many good things you do and how much time you have to do those good things. If you can increase the amount of time that you can do those good things and increase the quality of your time, like while you're doing that, then you're going to have a maximally better life experience on the planet and stuff. And crypto helps you get like solve your survival problem a lot quicker than traditional finance and working 40 hours a week and all this other crap that like is the bastardized version of the fiat currency world system that we now live in the western spaces and things. So there's a lot of substance there.
If humans are happy and have the ability to do what they want to do, they tend towards trying to help each other do what they tend towards what is helping others in the community. And if others keep building each other up, then ultimately we just have, quite frankly, a utopia.
I do like utopias.
But if everybody's struggling to buy a loaf of bread, how are we supposed to do that,
Well, that's why we get on the fastest money wagon and we speed up past all the other people that aren't. And it's like, sorry, sucks to suck, but we're going faster because we found a better tool. And I want the people that I love and the people that I care about to also find this good tool. And there's going to be a lot of folks that are just going to be left behind in the dust, and it's going to be very sad. It's going to be like, well, damn, like I can only lead the horse to water. I cannot force him to drink. There's another half of that quote that we're not going to repeat, but that's something for the folks at home to think about. I'm going to go through comments
really quick,
here real quick. Oh, go ahead. Miss McGettitt.
Just wanted to add to that. Will touch on that a little bit. You're completely right. That's what he's talking about too in the book. Like you can have all the knowledge in the world, and if you're not using it, that's your problem. We cannot force you to drink that water. If you want to sit there and die of dehydration, sorry, friend, I did what I could.
Everyone's got the entire world's knowledge. Oh, look at that. It lit up. I didn't know it does that when I shake it. That's pretty cool. Learning about phones every day. I'm still pretty new to smartphones. I've only had it for about a year. But we have the world's knowledge at our fingertips, and we sit here most of humanity sits there looking at cat memes and porn and social media and Wikipedia entries on their favorite, I don't know, sports ball player or something, right? Like we all have all the knowledge. We just mostly don't use it. So that's an excellent point. I want to, if you guys have any final thoughts on that, go ahead. Otherwise, I'm going to go back and give some more shout outs to the folks in the chats.
Yeah, before you give the shout outs, Will, I do want to pose a question so that the panel can think about it while you're actually going through the chats. So it seems like throughout the introduction, one of the quality that Richard places above all else when it comes to the hierarchy of important human traits is persistence. So he gives a quote here from Calvin Coolidge, and it goes something along the lines of, "Nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not, because nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not, because unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not, because the world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent." So, do you agree with Richard that persistence and determination are the top two qualities that all of us should strive for, or are there qualities that you think he's missing that we should address first before those two?
That is a good question for the panel members to think about whilst I go through these comments. So go ahead and get your thoughts ready, boys and lady, and I will take a look at the folks in the chat. Big shout out to the folks in the chat. First up, so I'm looking at the starred comments because there's just way too many of you guys in here. But Alan Fizameh, it's good to see you again as well, amigo. Long time no see, sup peeps. And then next up, we've got Tam Tam. I have learned so many unique insights from you all, and I am loving it. That's fantastic, Tam Tam. We love you too. All of you folks in the comments, thank you so much for being here. You guys are giving us your time. You guys are giving us your attention, and we really do appreciate all of that. And just like this is something I'm gonna speak on this topic and then move on a little bit further. You get two kinds of family in this world. You get the family that you're born with, and then you get the family that follow you on your journey and help you like do the things that you want to do and learn about the stuff that you care about, and like basically like your team, your compatriots, your cadre, right? We've got the family that we're born with, our blood and our sweat and our genetics and everything, and they're always going to mean something to us. And then we're going to have this separate one that'll come, like there's going to be people that come and go in your life, and there's going to be people that follow you for a long duration of time, and there's going to be people that follow you for a short duration of time. There's going to be like saying that you're going to follow others and do whatever. It's important to focus on honing your relationships with both of those types of family, because they are both important for different reasons. But make sure that you give love back to the people who are giving you their love, right? In whatever circumstance it might be. So that way everyone can ascend like the ascending man as we travel through this fantastic life. So big shout out to you, Tam Tam, for reminding me of that. Next we got Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf. Aloha, Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf. I have seen that name before. I can't remember where. And this is the problem with having a peanut brain, is that like so much stuff passes through here that like I can't.
Are you looking for the name Elena's Bar?
Oh, is that Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf?
Yes.
Is that? Oh, no kidding. Aloha, Elena.
Yeah, she's
no, not Elena. She was from that stream.
Oh.
That's what
she's from Sam.
For.
Oh, okay. All right. So Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf, shout out to you. So the folks on the DGen Roundtable chat can probably not hear you, but big shout out to Charlotte from the Elena's Bar channel. We appreciate you watching over here. That's fantastic. Aloha to you. And then next up, we got Fast Abdul with his very important and thoughtful comment about reviewing the chapter on do-it-yourself circumcision. So this is one of the chapters that Richard Hart actually, he had to, or he didn't have to, he opted to not put into the book on DIY self-circumcision for many reasons. I'm not going to dwell on it too much further, but I appreciate you bringing that up, Fast Abdul, because I had actually forgotten about that. So shout out to you, brother. It's good to see you in the chats. We'll have to talk bribes sometime. I'm super stoked. By the way, you guys are too late. The sacrifice phase is all over, or at least phase 1 is all over for the 2 fucks thing. So correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Fast Abdul, but I want to say that the sack ended on March 3rd or 5th or 6th or something along those lines. So too bad, so sad. Sack is over. So you guys are just gonna have to wait until 2 fucks goes live and the bribery system goes live as well. A big shout out to Fast Abdul, who's been on the channel a few times and chit chatted. What a fun guy, like a mushroom, a fun guy. Moon-pilled rational optics next. In a world of chaos, the only order is the order that we make. You're absolutely right. This is probably going back to when I was talking about violence earlier, and the only peace that you have is the peace that you forge for yourself and the peace that you maintain by having the ability to inflict things that are not peace. Then we got Mr. Large saying, let's fucking go. I agree, man. Let's fucking go. And also big thank you to the DGen Roundtable. So fantastic. What an excellent stream. What an excellent group of commenters we got. And thank you, Mrs. Producer, for going through and starring all these fantastic comments. Oh, and then we got one more from Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf. Lol, hi. Nice to be here and happy to learn so much. Love you all. Much love to you too, Charlotte. Much love to everyone in the audience. We appreciate it very much. Now, Jay, I'm gonna do a quick little summary of your question. Persistence is the most important
Is
character trait.
persistence and determination the most important character traits that we should all strive for, or are there things that are more important above those two that you guys think supersedes persistence and determination?
I'm gonna say yes. Those are the most important, and with the caveat that you have to persist wisely. Persisting on things that are bad or ineffective is a waste of time. So you have to persist and adapt. So I'm going to presume that you're going to go assist a customer or something. Yep, Jay's taking care of a customer. So that's an excellent question, though, and I think that it is the most important. Mrs. McGettit, it sounded like you had something there, or was that just a random off mute moment?
No, I was gonna just say basically what you just said. That's completely right. I don't think there's anything above those. I would like to add that there's definitely plenty else around them though. But when it comes to something being like better than that, no.
Excellent.
Well, I'm going to disagree a little bit.
Go for it. Let's hear it.
So, persistence, yes, because that's gonna drive you to never fail, because you only fail when you give up. However, I would say more so empathy. Reason for empathy is because we are humans. And remember, we are social creatures. And if we're not empathetical with each other, if we're not open to each other, then we can sit here and have all the determination, persistence, all that we want, but we just end up running each other over. And what happens when we run each other over? We get world wars. It's just how it goes.
Okay. I think war is good. Personally, I think that war is what separates the wheat from the chaff. Without a culling, the herd grows weak. I think I'm a little bit Machiavellian in that.
So here comes the human. Here comes the human. See that thinking right there. That is the thinking of hundreds of thousands of years of trying to live, right, and trying to survive on this planet. So
survive through science.
To survive, survivor. Yeah. So how about this? It used to be, I would say it used to be the most important ones, right? But as of currently, we are evolving outside of that now. The reason being is because of technology and the way that, our society has evolved. And so now, more so than determination to get something done, as long as you persist on, that kind of counts as determination automatically. So now we're in a world where having empathy for your fellow man is actually more important, because if you both persist into something and you're open to each other's ideas, then you both can come together and create something. Versus I'm going to run you over, and you start fighting each other and hiding things from each other, which ultimately is a crab in the bucket type of deal.
Okie dokie. Mr. Sam, what do you think about persistence and other options?
You know, I think you said something important, that you have to persist in the right things, because you can waste your time if you are persisting. Like, you're just gonna be spinning your wheels, right? If you're on a motorcycle and you have no tire on your back wheel and it's just metal and you're giving it all the gas in the world, you're probably not going to move forward, right? So persistence is like you have to have it if you are going to accomplish big things, but you also have to know how to direct it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I pretty much just agree with you.
Having like mentors and coaches and, you know, other people that
Yes.
have failed and that can redirect your failures and redirect your
Mhm.
questions and like pass their failure lessons on to you without you necessarily having to go through them yourself. There's actually, ooh, now that I'm talking about that out loud, it's almost like if I try and pass a lesson that I learned through pain and suffering onto you with just the lesson portion, and you don't get any of the pain or the suffering or the price that I paid for that lesson, then you'll probably there'll probably be like a diminishing return effect on the amount of like value that one would place on such a lesson. You know, like obviously we can look at something and appreciate it for like what it's worth at like substance or face value or something. But I'm thinking like if someone doesn't pay the same price to learn the same lesson, are they getting the same education? You know,
Can I jump in here, Will?
like yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
I want to say what you're touching on right there, actually brilliant. And I'm going to go back on my original answer here and change it a little bit.
Okay.
Basically, what you're describing is wisdom. And I'm going to go ahead and say that I would say persistence is still probably going to be top one for me. But what Nate was kind of saying, a little bit, persistence and determination they go hand in hand. You know, they're kind of very similar traits, types of ideas. I'm going to say wisdom would actually be my second. I would put that above determination, and leave persistence at the top, because what you're describing right there, you can try and try and try forever, but if you never learn from those mistakes, if you keep making the same mistakes and expecting a different result, that is the definition of insanity. Wisdom is making the mistakes and learning from them. So you can be as determined as you want to be, and you can still fail if you do not learn and you do not gain wisdom through your failures. So I'm gonna change that a little bit. Persistence, wisdom, then determination for me.
I like it. That's a good thank you. Thank you for that. That was a good little bit of insight there. I want to hop over to the chats real quick, and I see that they're talking about war in the chats. We've got the Ascending Man and Centurion and the DGen Roundtable, Lord of the Flies. So Centurion has a comment here. The problem, Will, is only the toughest and bravest are the ones who fight in wars, leaving the weak and fearful as the survivors. You've got a good point there. The people that are more apt to like go and fight and stuff are the ones that are going to be going and fighting, and the weak and the fearful are probably going to be the ones that don't get to experience the fighting. And I think that a fun little caveat to that is that like if the strong and brave are like less in number than the other side, then it doesn't matter how strong or brave they are if they get plowed over. And then you know all the weak and the fearful they get crushed anyways. It's kind of like the society's leverage ability to influence their will is dependent on like how many strong people and brave people they have to like to wield as like a tool to vanquish their enemies and stuff. And if they don't have enough strong and brave or tough or whatever, or they don't have like the sufficient amount to the proper leverage to inflict their will on other people, then like it's all a moot point anyways. So
I mean,
I think that that's quite interesting. And then Degen Roundtable had also commented, not everyone dies in war. Those who come back usually are leaders, and that's true as well. That like the survivors, sometimes people survive off of luck. Sometimes people survive off of persistence and like and strength and determination and grit and all that. And sometimes like the ones who like go out and kill all the bad guys, they end up dying anyways or whatever. And it's just an odd number of people that go out and come back and whatever. But the point about the people coming back and becoming leaders, like I think that going through like hard, difficult scenarios such as war or anything is what turns potentially weak people into strong people, or at least gives them the opportunity or the tools to turn into
Can I
stronger
add to
people or
that quick?
something like that. Yeah, go ahead. Please do.
Because you just touched on what I've been thinking here.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to add also, I'm the one who put the comment about the people who come back become our leaders. One thing I want to add to that though is the weak and fearful, the meek people that don't go to the wars and that end up being behind and stay, back at home. A lot of them step forward when there's no other option though. Like a lot of these people will adapt and grow and become the brave and the strong in the absence of having somebody brave and strong around, because once you have no choice, you get pushed into that. So that's another thing I wanted to add. But by human nature, if all of our brave and strong go off to war and tragically nobody comes back, the people who are left behind can and will step up, at least some of them. Obviously not everybody. I mean, there are of course limitations, but those who have the wherewithal, who have that determination and that persistence will move forward eventually.
I think that one of the things that he covers later on in the book, and we'll get to this whenever we get to that chapter, is that it's not always the strong and the tough that survive. It's usually the adaptable that survive more so than the strong ones or the gritty ones or whatever. The people that adapt are the ones that have the highest ratio of survivalhood. So I think you hit the nail on the head there with that.
That's just the rule of natural selection, right?
And I want to say that also goes back a little bit to what I was talking about earlier of how wisdom is so incredibly important as well.
Yeah, you guys know. So I swear this has something to do with the conversation, but they did these. I forgot the gal who did the studies on gorillas. I'm not exactly sure where, but the point of her study was so she observed exactly how the gorilla societies formed, right? And what she realized was it wasn't always the most strong and dominant males that would survive. It was always the ones that, they had strength, right? But they were communitarian also in nature, right? Because if a male came in there and ruled with an iron fist, what he found out was 2 or 3, maybe not so strong males could come together and kick him right out of power, right? And usually ended up, not so good for that guy, right? So like you said, it's not always the strongest and most dominant that wins. It's usually the most adaptables, right? And the males who may have existed at the bottom of the like not second in the hierarchy because they weren't as strong, because they were a lot more adaptable and they came together and was able to kick that guy out of power. They're the ones who were able to survive and carry on the species into perpetuity. So I just wanted to tell that story because you could observe it in our primate ancestors as well.
I remember that was they talk about that quite a few times on Rogan. Oh man, I wish I could remember the lady that you're that you're referencing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is fantastic. We have a question from the chats, and this is going to be the final question, and I'll leave this to the panel to mull over. So I'm going to read the question, and then we're going to go ahead and do our outro things. But Charlotte Nightstar the Werewolf asks, what about the gladiators and the blood sports of ancient times? Sadly, not for survival, but for entertainment. Isn't that a waste of brave and strong men? I never understood that. And that's what we're going to leave you guys to ponder with before until next we meet to chit chat about all sorts of things. You guys can find us all at the DGen Roundtable Telegram. You can find us here on this YouTube channel as well. We stream pretty much every Wednesday, every Friday now, and every Sunday in this exact same spot at 8 p.m. Eastern. All right. So remember that 7 p.m. Central, and that's what 6 p.m. Mountain and 5 p.m. Pacific, if I'm not mistaken. I apologize for the folks in the UK or over in Australia. I don't know the times, but you guys can find us here at the DGen Roundtable. Also, Sam, if you would be so kind as to point down, Nate point diagonally, and Jay point to the side. This is our Telegram QR code. This is where you guys can go to join our Telegram. Or if you're super duper cool, you can click on the link in the description below that will take you into our Telegram. Or you can type in bit.ly/degenerate_roundtable up in your URL, and that'll automatically bring you into the Telegram. Go ahead and get in there, guys. It's free for now. It's not always going to be free. That's how we keep out the silly gooses during the bull market, is our essential plan with that. So that way we don't get a flooded chat full of silly gooses asking silly questions that could be easily answered with like an FAQ or something. So hop in the Telegram.
Bots.
Oh, and also bots. We keep them out too. But you guys can find us there. Make
Scammers,
sure that you
shillers.
like, comment, subscribe, bitch, moan, complain, share this show out to your friends, give them all the tools that they can get to make themselves more successful in the cryptocurrency sphere. We're going to now go ahead and do our rotate around the panel to see what everyone's got going on in the near future. So Mr. J, what can the folks look forward to from you in the near future, bro?
Aside from the usual TA, I mean, like you already mentioned it, we do book club every Friday, Whiskey Wednesdays, and sometimes a special guest, and then we have our Sunday shows. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and scan that QR code, join our Telegram, because there's a lot of very smart guys and gals in there of all skill levels, ready and willing to share their knowledge and their wisdom with you to help us get through this bull run and through the next bear market and into the future, right? To the moon. So go ahead and scan that QR code, join our community. It is forever growing. It's not always going to be free. Currently, it still is, but it's not always going to be free. As always, you can find me on X at _P90Hex and on Instagram at agent_J Schroth. Thank you guys for joining us here live, or if you're joining us in the replay. We know that time is your most valuable asset, so we do appreciate that you spend some of that time here with us. Before we leave out, there was one other interesting comment that I did want to bring up here from Mr. Chad Donnerschwantz. He says that the strong and dominant win will rule, the adaptable survive,
That's
but will
good.
be ruled. Risk versus reward. I agree to a degree, Mr. Chad, but if you are a strong and dominant tyrant, we all know what happens to tyrants throughout history. So just keep that in mind, right? Don't be a strong and dominant tyrant. Mr. Sam Stevenson, where can we find you? What you got going on in the future? What do we have to look forward to, my friend?
Well, I'll answer the last question first. What you have to look forward to is a better world, because I am going to change the world. I am going to take my passion for self-improvement, construction, and financial freedom, and I am going to make it a better place. So if you want to find me and follow me on my journey, you're going to go to thesam.pls.fyi, and you are going to check me out there. All of my links to spread me out into, wow, that's what a terrible language. All of my links to take me anywhere, like Instagram. Well, take you, wow, language, right? I'll work on that. It's got my links to all my stuff. And if you want to go check it out, then you should check it out. But that's where you can find me.
Oh, that's pretty cool. I just typed that in. That's nifty, and that's by the Pulse. Oh shoot, what are those guys called?
This the Pulse Chain Name Service.
Pulse Domains. Yeah, those
Yep.
guys, man. They got some cool stuff over there. So I just put the link in the chats. Mr. Nate, what's going on with you in the near future, bro? What do the folks at home have to look forward to?
So I'm going really in depth. I'm working really hard to try and figure out when the best times are to take profits in your altcoins. Have a little bit of an anxiety about that, because it's like I don't want to miss, if we go up a lot, I don't want to miss the pump and then be like, oh, I'm still sitting on my hands, right? So I've been working really hard trying to put as many pieces of the puzzle together to see which decision is going to be best, whether to hold or to sell. And you can look forward to that for the next coming month here in March, because I'm working with a lot of people behind the scenes. I'm working with Twinkie actually right now, and we're planning on doing a show at the end of March after all of our ducks are in a row with Access Live. And then possibly Zenith and Agent J might hop on as well, because it's going to be pretty chart heavy. And yeah, I know, me going into charts, what is this weird world? But I am looking to get as many clear answers as possible. So it's definitely something to look forward to. It's going to be an absolutely gigantic stream. It will not be on the DGen Roundtable channel. It will actually be on Mr. Twinkie's channel, though, showing him just a little bit of love. He definitely deserves it. Go subscribe to his channel as well as ours. So yeah, like we've been beating to death over here. Get into that Telegram channel. It's incredible just how many people really try to help each other out there. If you get in there, you are only going to be winning this entire cycle. So yeah, get in.
I went ahead and dropped Mr. Angry Twinkie's YouTube link in the description below. So make sure you go over there and check Nate out when he does that with him.
Yeah, and I forgot one last thing. Because there's a lot of people who are struggling right now to try and get their footing. My consultations are open. I've had quite a few people now coming through just about every single day now that is like they're a little bit behind on the market. They're seeing everything pumping and they don't know what to do. They don't want to FOMO smartly. They don't want to FOMO into really large green candles. And so they're coming to me for advice, and I'm giving them the best possible shot for winning this cycle. So if that is you, hop in. I've got my link tree right down there. That's for all my socials as well as my consultations. Just hit me up. We'll get you put together.
Excellent. Fantastic. Mrs. McGettit, what can the folks look forward to that you're putting up in the near future? And well, I guess where can the folks find you? I suppose DGen Roundtable stuff.
Oh yeah, that's the only place you're gonna find me. So see you guys all in the Telegram. I hope. I wanted to mention it again. I brought this up earlier that we had somebody in there who very recently was just down, not happy, not thinking he could make it. Just he was, and we helped him. We brought him back up, and now he's improving. We're already seeing those improvements. It's fantastic the way this community comes together. So if you're not in it, like where did this go? This one.
You want to paste the link?
What are you doing? If you're not in it, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? Exactly.
Get in there.
And yeah, that's it.
Excellent. You guys can find me at linktree/Will Stevenson. Sam, I'm gonna have to goodness sakes, I gotta copy and paste here. I'm gonna have to figure out how you did that Pulse domain thing, because that was really cool. You have your YouTube, your Instagram, everything at your Pulse chain URL. That is super awesome. But yeah, you guys can find me at linktree/Will Stevenson. You guys can find this DGen Roundtable Book Club at t.me/DGen Book Club. You can go check out and meet other Hexicans at t.me/. Oh goodness, I'm putting it in the wrong chat. My golly, I'm putting it in the private chat. Ha. All right. You can find these links at those places that I just said and talked about stuff at. There we go. Look at me trying to, I can't even like talk and Control C, Control V at the same time. That's how much peanut brain we got going on up here. That's all right, because it's all saved for thinking. So anyways, you guys can find me at Linktree. You guys can meet other Hexicans at the Hex Meetup, and the Hex Meetup Telegram, and you can join our book club Telegram at the, I should drop that in the chat too, shouldn't I? Goodness sakes. t.me/
Yeah, get it in there.
t.me/ can I type as fast? Somebody fill the airwaves while I'm doing this, and then we're about to get ready on your trigger finger for closing us out.
All right. Well, he's doing that. I did want to mention here, just real quick. I want to give you guys just a brief kind of clarification on our lineup here, because we've pretty much settled things mostly now, and I just kind of want to reiterate it. So Sundays are our regular streams. 90% of the time, that's just going to be about whatever the regular crypto news is coming around. Sometimes we do special episodes during Sunday, and that'll be in the title. If it's a regular episode, it'll number the episode. If it's a special episode, you won't see a number. So that's easy to recognize. Every other Wednesday is Whiskey Wednesday. The Wednesdays that we're not doing Whiskey Wednesday are special guest streams. We have guests booked out, I think, through April. So that'll be continuing for a good long while. If we ever don't have a guest, then they might turn into a Whiskey Wednesday. They might turn into something else. We don't know. But as of right now, the current schedule is rotating. One Wednesday, Whiskey Wednesday. The next Wednesday, special guest, and so on and so forth. Fridays are book club. And intermittent in between all of those, we throw up emergency streams too. So if something big's going on and we think you guys need to know about it, Sometimes those are in the Telegram. The Telegram's a bit easier to coordinate because you don't have to be on camera, so people can do that more on the fly. But if we have the opportunity to stream for those, we will also stream for those. So there you go, everybody.
That was absolutely fantastic, Mrs. McGettit. Thank you for that. That is great. And I want to make sure that the folks at home, you guys know where you can find us. You guys know to like this video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we want to ask you all to remember to degen responsibly.